So I want to officially welcome everyone and thank you all for joining us today for the AmeriCorps VISTA 50th Anniversary Session, Nuts and Bolts of Organizing a Community Event. We have a wonderful group of speakers today. I'm going to turn it over to Liz Matthews at CNCS, who's going to get us started. Take it away, Liz.
Great. Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everyone. So I'm your host, Liz Matthews, with AmeriCorps VISTA headquarters here at the Corporation for National and Community Service. And you'll be hearing from several of my colleagues throughout today's session in the chat and during the Q&A, including Suzanne Knisner, Amy Kanata, Indy Clark, and Andy King. They are here to make sure things run smoothly and to help get your questions answered. We are also delighted to have two speakers with us here today, Billy Brown and Carol Hunter. Billy is the Pennsylvania State Program Director responsible for AmeriCorps VISTA and Senior Programming in Pennsylvania and the lead CNCS staff person for planning the Philadelphia Solutions Summit. He also served as a VISTA from 2000 to 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia with Axion USA. And Carol Hunter joined Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture as the Chief Administrator and Program Director in 2011, and she's been supervising Truly Living Well's AmeriCorps VISTA project for 3 years, and she's also planning an event for the 50th anniversary. So we look forward to hearing from them both later on in the presentation. So let's take a look at the agenda. Today we are going to cover the timeline and goals, some ingredients for a successful event. What are some features that you can include that will make for an interesting and engaging event? We'll explore the Community Solutions Summit model as well as other types of community events that you may decide to host. And we'll look at the various roles of event organizers. What exactly is involved in planning a VISTA 50th event? We'll also let you know the various tools that will be available to assist you in planning. And, of course, we're excited to share some tips from our guest speakers who've already started organizing their community events. We'll conclude by answering any questions that you still have that have not been answered throughout the presentation in the Q&A box. All right, so we did have an overview of the 50th anniversary webinar back in October, so I'm going to go through this slide pretty quickly. But just to highlight the core components here, we're going to kick everything off in February on the 25th for our National Solutions Summit. And that will be live streamed and all the talks will be recorded, so you will have access to them if you want to for your own local event. Then the community summits and events will take place throughout 2015. We have a series of 5 spotlights that CNCS is planning, and you can see the dates and locations that are coming up across the country there. And then there's the Solutions Incubator phase, where if you do the Community Solutions Summit model, you'll have a period of incubation of coming up with your fabulous solutions to particular poverty issues, and then at the end of the year, some of those ideas can be showcased at the concluding event and through an online campaign. So let's take a look at what our goals are for these events. Our main goal really is to celebrate and innovate. We've been using that, and you can use it as your mantra, and it can help you keep in mind as you're planning everything. So is what you're planning, does it have a celebratory reflection of VISTA members and projects past and present? And the speakers and the agenda that you develop, are they really going to lead to innovative and inspiring thinking and ultimately to action? So again, I just encourage you to keep celebrate and innovate in mind as you plan your agenda. We really do hope that these events help to honor the past and present members, projects, and communities that have been involved with VISTA over the years. And let's keep in mind that this really is a great opportunity to bring greater visibility to AmeriCorps VISTA, to the members, to the projects, to the beneficiaries, because we all know greater visibility to VISTA, to AmeriCorps, and to CNCS helps all of us as stakeholders and community members understand VISTA's impact in your community. So we really are bringing service-minded, solution-minded people together and building new networks of change agents and identifying innovative and lasting solutions to poverty for the 21st century. So taking a look at some of the ingredients, I think that while the events will take on the personality of the region and the community in which they're held, these are just some suggested ingredients to help make a great event. So you really want to make sure that they are locally inspired. And you want reasons for people in that community to attend, whether that's hearing from speakers that have a strong connection to AmeriCorps VISTA and to the community itself, whether those are local celebrities or local congressional members, nonprofit and business leaders. You want some names that people are going to recognize in the community, as well as some people who just have amazing stories to tell, whether they're currently serving members and leaders or alumni or the beneficiaries of VISTA over the years. And I think another great ingredient to keep in mind are the arts. So incorporating poetry and music and dance really can add an inspiring element and entertaining element too that is meaningful to your event. So the Community Solutions Summit model, we are recommending that these take place between the February and June time frame. And in planning for this big anniversary milestone, we created this Community Solutions Summit model as a way to achieve many of the goals that we've set forth for the anniversary. So let's just take a moment to explore the various components. As I said, we recommend that the summits take place during the first half of the year so that there is time for the solutions incubator phase. So the agenda that you follow, it could very well be that you're bringing together community members and celebrating at the beginning of your event and making sure that AmeriCorps VISTA's local impact is recognized. And that could be through the variety of local speakers, as well as plugging into some of the talks that took place during the National Solutions Summit that you might want to highlight in your own event. But the added component that makes these community solution summits is that participants will identify local poverty-related issues and brainstorm solutions to those issues. And we are going to be providing draft agendas along with suggested activities and a facilitator's guide that will help you create your own agenda. And then collectively, these participants will determine which solutions should be developed during the solutions incubator phase. So ideally, a group of individuals that attended the summit along with additional community members will continue to meet for the following months to incubate their idea. So just to give you an example of what this could be, there's been research done, and it's sort of known that dropout rates can be reduced, teenage pregnancy can be reduced if you, as a community, decide that every child born into a low-income family in your county will receive nurse visits from the age of 0 to 2. So you've collectively come up with that idea as what you really want to focus on for your issue. And so then during your incubation period, you would work with nurse practitioners, early childhood educators, hospital administration staff, perhaps the mayor and his or her staff, parents, students, and so forth, in order to actually create a plan to implement that solution, because it takes the resources from all of these different people and institutions in the community to make something like that happen. That's just an example to try to make that Community Solutions Summit model come alive for you a little bit. So then you may decide that you want to have an event, but you're not sure you want to have that additional component to it. So these are just some themes that we've suggested, and these events really could take place at any point during 2015 because you're not factoring in that incubating period. So it may be that you have a community event that includes local speakers that have a history with VISTA, again, members, alumni, VISTA sponsor staff, perhaps state office staff, along with inspiring local leaders and celebrities. So you build an agenda around these people, and then you may decide to show some of the talks from the National Solutions Summit. And then perhaps this could be followed by a panel discussion or roundtables or simply a celebratory reception. You really can be creative about this and, brainstorm with your planning team in terms of what it is that you want this event to look like. And by all means, feel free to get creative. It really is up to you to determine what type of event you have the time to plan and what is most appropriate for your community. So let's take a look at the role of the organizer. So whether you decide to plan a community solutions summit or other type of event, here are some of the responsibilities for the organizer. So basically recruiting and coordinating a planning team, because nobody wants to do this alone. So definitely bring folks into the fold who are excited about this as well and have connections into the community and can really make a great program, make it meaningful, and get people there. So of course, one of the first things you're going to want to do is to secure a location and coordinate all the logistics, food and beverage and supplies and all that good stuff. Promoting the summit is obviously an important piece, making sure that the event agenda is implemented, following up with all the participants, and then participating in any planning webinars that we have over the next few months that will help you in your role of being an organizer. So who is an organizer? What makes a good organizer? I think some of the skills and experience that is helpful for someone to have who's organizing an event like this includes, as you would imagine, event planning and coordination, recruitment and volunteer management and experience. That's obviously an important ingredient. And somebody who has the ability to build a team and motivate people coming together. So these are sort of your connectors in the community. And obviously, we really want to make sure that the organizers have a passion for AmeriCorps VISTA, and they do have the ability to bring people together and just want to improve their communities. Some of the roles to support the organizer, and again, this is your event, so you do what you want to in order to make this as smooth and as organized as possible. But what we recommend for the planning committee is to have a recruitment coordinator. So that person might be the person who gets other people on the planning committee, who recruits volunteers for the day of the event to help out, and who recruits the speakers and the facilitators. So we're lumping all those together in the role of a recruitment coordinator. Then you might have somebody who's tasked with the logistics. So this person might be communicating with the venue, securing the venue, trying to get food and beverage donations, getting supplies needed, whether you need laptops or flip charts and markers and all kinds of sticky notes, all those kinds of supplies that you might need for your event. We also recommend having a facilitator and speaker coordinator, so somebody who is communicating with all of the speakers, maybe making the asks, confirming the speakers, greeting them there on the day of, giving them guidance as to how to formulate their talk. And then also coordinating with all the facilitators. And the facilitator role is really if you're having that community solutions summit model, because you want facilitators to help guide the activities and the conversation about identifying the solution that you want to work on collectively. Then it might be helpful to have a promotions coordinator. This would be somebody who can help really get the word out and can do that through social media, as well as utilizing all the networks of the people who are on the planning committee. And then a volunteer coordinator, somebody who can help out with the volunteers leading up to and on the day of. And then if you're having the Community Solutions Summit, the specific roles for that are the facilitators, and then you want perhaps somebody who's going to be the incubator work group leader. Who's going to take this forward to make sure that this work continues on and that you really are able to implement the plan that you all have come up with. All right, so we are almost about to print the organizer kit, and this will be a guide, an online guide, that will help to support the work of the organizers in order to create successful community-based events. And within this kit, there's a lot of information, but there is the overview of the 50th anniversary core components, a little bit more detail than I just went over for the organizer and planning committee roles, supplementary resources including promotional flyers and agendas and sample emails and letters to send out to participants. So it's chock full of hopefully good information for you. And you all, by being on this call today, we will email you as soon as that kit is live, and hopefully that will be a useful tool for you. So here's a few excerpts from the organizer kit. There is a checklist in there. And first of all, we want to know if you've decided to organize, please do let us know. Ultimately, there will be a registration link, but for right now, if you can just email us at vista50@cns.gov. That's the go-to for all things AmeriCorps VISTA 50th related right now. That's the best way to communicate with us. So please let us know if you're trying to organize, and if you need help, by all means use this email address to get in touch with us, and we can help you in the process. So other steps, recruiting a leadership team, planning your event logistics and registering, developing your agenda, recruiting your participants, promoting the events. These are all steps that are in this checklist that you'll want to take in order to have a successful event. So I'm just going to give you all a couple of additional tips, and then we're going to hear from our guest speakers. So just things to keep in mind, definitely involving VISTA members, leaders, and alumni in the planning process, reaching out to local nonprofits that may have available event space, tying into existing community events. Perhaps there's something already going on that has an audience that you can piggyback on, and featuring speakers that will really resonate with your local community. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Billy Brown. Billy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Excellent. Take it away, Billy.
Okay. So I am the director of the Pennsylvania State Office, and so we've got the first of the Solution Summits after the national one, and ours is going to be in April. We don't have the date nailed down yet. We're still working out space, and so the date's going to be contingent on that. But we're pretty sure either a Thursday or Friday in April. We got started with recruiting a committee, as was recommended. It's a lot of work. You shouldn't have to do it all yourself. But also the committees will bring, something we're finding, will bring sort of areas of expertise and experience and skills that you might not have yourselves. We've gotten a pretty enthusiastic group of VISTA alums, VISTA members, staff from VISTA projects. So we got a good mix in there. Dividing up into sort of program and outreach committees, which sort of have sort of subcommittees within them. But starting off with sort of developing what our just basic sort of infrastructure of the committee will be, as well as sort of what our outreach approach is going to be. Outreach both in reaching out to media and publicizing the event to the anti-poverty or nonprofit community around Philadelphia, as well as reaching back and trying to research past VISTA projects, track down alums, and doing that both as trying to build our speaker base and our attendee base for the event, but also, I think there's not sure how much we're covering it on this call, but there are some neat resources around documenting the histories or the personal histories of VISTA members on their projects in past decades, as well as infrastructure to help them network, or us network. I'm one of them, I guess. And so, we're sort of working out how all that'll piece together and knit together so that we do the event, but we also leave behind a document in a sense, or a set of documents in a social media sense of the history and legacy of VISTA in Philadelphia. On the prospective side, we're working with a publication called the Philadelphia Social Innovations Journal. We're working with them on producing, and it's a quarterly publication, and we're working on producing an issue dedicated to the past, present, and future of VISTA in the Philadelphia region. And the people who run that are also connected to a Philadelphia Social Innovation Incubator project. So it's sort of ready-made. We're lucky that way, I guess. It's just ready-made so that ideas we come up with, things that bounce around during the Solutions Summit, we hope can feed into this existing incubator for social innovation in the Philadelphia region. And that is, I guess, my brief summary of what we're doing in Philadelphia.
All right, great. Thanks, Billy. And there may be some specific questions for you through the chat and the Q&A, and then as we open up the phones. So
I'll be happy to take them.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And thanks for all of your work so far. Carol Hunter, are you on the line? And I'll pause there.
Yes, I am.
Oh, hooray. Yay, Carol. Okay, take it away, Carol.
Hello, everyone. Really excited about this opportunity. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and we are working with our state office to coordinate our Community Solutions Summit. We have already identified our theme, ending food security in our area. This is something that AmeriCorps VISTA has been working on with our project in the community for a while now. So we thought we'd expand on that work by using that as our theme. Just want to encourage you as you look at whatever thing you're going to do is to identify a need that is broad enough that you can get great support throughout your community, but that it's narrow enough that you can come out with some specific solutions that you can work on as a group. In terms of reaching out to our partners, we began looking at people in our community that were already working in this issue. We looked at new people that we weren't connected with as well as old, and we put together a pretty comprehensive list of who we can call on to work with us around this issue. We also looked at how do we make sure we have people who are willing to promote our ideas, help bring awareness to AmeriCorps VISTA and the work that we're doing in the community, as well as the specific need. So in doing that, with our list, we also considered who can have resources like helping us find a location, having connections that could, with speakers and others that we're going to need to involve in the process. Lucky for us, when we looked at that list, the very first person that we called said they were interested and were able to help us find a space. So we already have selected a space that can accommodate up to 200 people. We connected with our Atlanta local food bank. We also looked at selecting dates. It was really important to us that we did not conflict with anything else any of our partners might be doing around this issue. So we were able to talk with them, about 7 or 8 of them, and we found out that there is a weekend, the last weekend in March, the 27th and 28th, that seems to be available. There are no conflicts, so we've selected that as our date. Preparation, planning, and promotion. We feel like it's so important to begin the planning process with promotion in mind. One of the things we did was to look at, we have several area colleges near where we're located in downtown Atlanta. We wanted to make sure we can incorporate this group of people. It gives us great promotion for AmeriCorps VISTA. It also helps them connect with the issue. And so we wanted to make sure we could get those folks involved as well. And that was a great way to get them to help us promote our event. So consider that as you're putting together your committees and in terms of your timetable, make sure there's enough time to really promote this. It's such a fantastic way to get the word out. We want to make sure we're capitalizing on every avenue to promote what we're doing. And lastly, with the follow-up, we wanted to make sure with our partners we built in connections and people who were willing to not just come and talk about it, but go out and do something in the community. And so we're making sure that we've got that kind of buy-in up front and that they're going to be sitting at the table with us as we plan this event. And I'll be glad to take questions when we get to that point in the program.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Carol. That's wonderful to hear what you guys are already up to. So let's go ahead and, Amy, I'm going to turn it over to you to guide the Q&A.
Great, thanks, Liz. And I know Suzanne's helping with Q&A too, so feel free to jump in at any point, Suzanne.
Okay.
We've had quite a few questions come in through the Q&A panel, which is the best spot to put your questions. Let's see. So,
can we also go ahead and, operator, if you want to see if there are any calls or any questions coming over the phone?
Thank you.
And while we...
Sorry, just to remind parties over the phone, press *1 at this time to ask a question.
And while we wait for that, I do have a frequently asked question, Liz. As I'm sure you can guess, there have been questions about budgets and funding for the Community Solution Summit.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. That's bound to be a question. Unfortunately, there is no funding available from CNCS in order to support these events. We're trying to give you as many tools and resources as you need to help make the planning easier. And I think as long as you, my advice is to make sure you recruit somebody onto your planning team that has experience in getting donations in kind and cash donations that can support your event. And you may want that person to be a VISTA alum. That might be a perfect role for somebody who is not currently working for the program.
Okay. Our next question is, what if the result of the Community Solutions Summit is a call for a VISTA project? And what if the VISTA project being proposed is not within the scope of Goal 1?
Okay, you all are so smart. Always good questions. I think in that case, it could be that some of these ideas are fitting for a future VISTA project, and that is obviously something to be determined, and there's always limited funding for future VISTA projects. So, Andy, I don't know if you have anything else that you would add to that particular question.
Yeah, Liz, I think you've captured it, and Billy might have insights as well, but certainly if the ideas that are generated are ones that the participants in the Community Solutions Summit think could be met through a VISTA project, then we by all means would encourage them to submit a VISTA project application, but the project would still need to meet all of the basic requirements for a VISTA project and for VISTA programming. So if it's outside the scope of what VISTA is about, then we would then encourage the community group to look for other ways that idea could come into reality, even if it's not appropriate to become a VISTA project.
Okay, next question. Let's see. Can the summits collaborate with AmeriCorps Week, and do you have any idea on how that could happen?
Sure, that's a great idea, and that falls into the thought that if you can piggyback onto something that's already in existence, then that often makes good sense. I believe AmeriCorps Week will be happening sometime in March, but the dates are, I think, currently being confirmed, and in order to help make that happen, I think it's just, there's obviously going to be more press and visibility about AmeriCorps during that week, so it definitely does make sense to align your event then. And I think we can take that into consideration, and as we get closer to March, make sure that we are communicating any additional information and tools that might be helpful for you all to incorporate your event within AmeriCorps Week. So that's great thinking. Thank you.
All right, I have one more question, and then we can check the phone lines. How can I get a list of alumni in my area?
Another good question. Unfortunately, because of privacy and PII and so forth, we can't share lists of alumni. However, there are several different resources on the VISTA campus that would enable you to get in touch with alumni in your community. There's the VISTA map, so you can look for folks there on the VISTA map. And there's also the Learning Connections, so you can send messages to people there. There's also social media, if you want to give a call out to people and have them get in touch with you, say that you're looking for alumni that have been serving in the area. And we'll also be sending out an email to, hopefully in the next week or so, an email will go out to the universe, our universe of VISTA members and leaders and alumni and sponsors and CNCF staff that really says go on all of this. And that will make sure, and alumni will be receiving that as well. So that'll, for some of them, may be the first time they're hearing about this, and we'll be directing them to the VISTA 50th website that will be live, and there will be opportunities for them to get involved through that. So I don't know if Andy or Billy has any other thoughts on that, but I think
just the way, and I think, and I assume anything you're planning you'll be working with the state office, so then we might have the ability to work with some of that sensitive, to take email addresses and reach out directly and maybe help serve that function in the effort.
That's a great point, yeah. So in your planning committee, it's very smart to have somebody from your state office on your planning committee for purposes such as that. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah, and Liz, this is Andy. I would just add that a lot of VISTA sponsors who over the years have hosted a number of VISTA projects, they often keep records of and keep in touch with their VISTA alumni, so that can be a great way to get in touch with folks who maybe served a while ago, who we here may have lost touch with because they haven't updated their contact details, but often sponsors are great, and of course AmeriCorps alum chapters.
Yes, good point. Thank you so much. Yes, AmeriCorpsAlums.org is also a great resource.
Okay, so I think at this point we can check the phone line.
Yeah, we do have two questions over the phone. Pamela Andrews, your line is open.
Hi, I'm an AmeriCorps VISTA serving for the Homeless Coalition of Volusia, Flagler County, Florida. And my question is, can we have other current VISTAs who would be available? Are they able to attend our events and help with our events? And is that travel covered financially?
Thanks for your question, Pamela. So are you asking that potentially AmeriCorps currently serving AmeriCorps members from throughout the state of Florida to come to your event?
Correct.
Again, I think Billy's suggestion of contacting your state office would be helpful for that, and also communicating as a way to get the word out and inviting all the people. Obviously, those who are within driving distance, by all means, they could and should be invited and included in your event. But when it becomes, when you need some funds in order to travel, it gets a little bit trickier. So I would encourage you to get in touch with your state office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question from Connie Nielsen. Your line is open.
I was just wondering what lead time you thought necessary to begin promotion on an activity. Carol Hunter mentioned that giving that advance time is very important, and I wanted her input on that, please. Thank you.
Great. Carol, you want to answer that?
Yes, at least 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
So those are all the questions I have in the queue, as well as the chat. And unless there's other questions on the line.
No further questions on the phone for you.
Great. Okay. Well, if for some reason we haven't gotten to your question and it's still outstanding, feel free to email us at vista50@cns.gov. Just use that email address and be on the lookout for a couple of emails coming out to you. One that will really be the announcement of getting involved with the AmeriCorps VISTA 50th anniversary, and then we will also be getting in touch with you once that organizer kit is ready for you. So thank you so much, and always keep in mind that there are other webinars that you may want to participate in, and you can check that out on the vistacampus.gov/webinars. So thanks again to Billy Brown and Carol Hunter for being on the webinar today and for all the great work that they're doing in Philadelphia and in Atlanta. And thanks to all of you for being on the call and showing interest. And we're really excited about this, and we really thank you in advance for all of your work in helping us pull off some really wonderful events. So thank you for your time and your participation, and there is an evaluation coming along the way. And thanks again for your patience.